I would have imagined an actor as attractive as Adam Driver to have a butt that did not look like that. If that makes sense.
This is the Austin Matt podcast. I'm Austin.
This is Matt.
And this week we watched one hell of a movie called Annette. But before we get to that, Matt, what else did you watch this week?
I watched not as much as I usually watch. I've mentioned that I watch while I run, and I drove back from Utah at the beginning of last week, and 2 days sitting in a car messed with my back. So I didn't run. I didn't go to the gym at all this week. But I did watch last night, and this is something I've watched about 1,000 times in my life. I watched Willow, directed by Ron Howard, starring Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer as a very handsome young man. This is still probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Like that favorite movie you have when you were a kid that you'd watch at home whenever you were homesick. Willow was that movie for me, and so I've always really liked Willow. It is honestly like an 80s fantasy comedy in the very best kind of way. Like I know James Franco and Seth Rogen did like a fantasy comedy a few years ago, and I never even saw it, but I heard that it wasn't that great because I think it probably leaned in too hard to the comedy. I feel like Willow is this movie that leans in really hard to the fantasy, but is willing to have a lot of fun and have a lot of really like bizarre, silly things happen, and it just works. And Val Kilmer, it's almost like everybody in the movie gets, the only person in the movie that gets that it's kind of a comedy is Val Kilmer. Everyone else plays it pretty straight-faced, but Val Kilmer is just like having the time of his life. And so it's one of my like very favorite older movies from when I was a kid. And the other thing I watched was, and I'm not even done with this yet, but I feel like it's worth mentioning at this point, Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a very weird anime for me. Like my twin watched it, and I believe you watched it and really liked it, and I'm several episodes in and I'm just not sold yet. I guess I haven't seen an action scene that has really blown me away. There's not anything story-wise that's going on, but I'll tell you kind of where I am. There's a scene where the main character lets the demon take over his body, and the demon does something to kind of kill his body. And then like the next episode, he wakes up and he's alive again. And that's kind of where I am. Like, tell me, is this worth, if I'm not super into it yet, is it worth to keep going?
I was kind of at the same thing for you at that point, where it was like, no, like this isn't that cool type of thing. I'm not even gonna call it like an arc, but just like the next part that happens is pretty fun. It's pretty interesting. They bring in some more characters that have a little bit more dynamicness to them. They expand upon some of the people that we've already met so far, and it goes better.
Okay.
The second half of the season. Is it? Are you going to be blown away by any of the action sequences? I think there might be one scene that you're gonna be like, okay, that was cool.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think there's gonna be anything outside of that where you're just like completely blown away. Because I know you like more technical fighting versus like powerful fighting.
Yeah.
And a lot of what this emphasizes on is that power impact type stuff. But
okay, let's
really
rewind a
enjoyed the
bit.
second half compared to the first half. Yeah.
Because when you first told me about Jujutsu Kaisen, you were saying that it was a lot of technical fighting, but it seems like you now retract that statement.
The first half is like all power based. The second half, like there is longer sequences of fighting.
Okay.
But they still emphasize the power versus like the whittling the person down by like move by move. But
yeah,
they do it better. I'll say that.
Okay. Well, it'll be my shower show that I watch while I'm showering, which I know is weird, but that's what I'll do. Okay. Well, let's get right in. Oh, sorry, you're the one hosting. You go.
Well, Matt, I would also like to talk about the things that I watched this week, if that's okay with you.
Oh shoot! I thought mine were at the bottom of the list, so I thought I'm a jerk. Okay, yes. Austin, what did you watch this week?
Oh, thanks for asking, Matt.
You're welcome.
Taking the consideration of asking me about that.
I'm really thoughtful like that.
So I was really just focused into getting through the first half. Well, the first half of the final season for Attack on Titan. I do want to say that I was a little upset that I did watch it because I found out that the second season doesn't come out until next year, and
Oof.
I'm a little pissed off about that actually. But compared to all the seasons so far, this is definitely like the most WTF type season.
The very first season, or this? Were you watching it
now?
Oh, final season part 1. I thought when I read that, I thought it said first season part 1 or
No.
1 or something like that. Okay.
So season.
Yeah,
4
it's very
came out.
WTF.
Yeah. So finished it up, and I was pissed off about how it ended because I was like, "What do you mean we're just gonna end it like this?" Once you get there, you'll understand my I guess frustrations with it. But it was a damn good watch, and I had a good time with it. So now I'm kind of trying to find something else I need to watch because I'm fiending. My heart breaks a little bit for not Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. That's all I watched this week, so I guess I can finally get to the synopsis if that's okay with you, Matt.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Got it.
Go.
Nice. So I'm gonna be upfront and honest here. Reading the synopsis, I really cut out a lot of the things that happened, and it's more so because there's just like so much WTF that happens that I'm only willing to put down this much for the movie. So without further ado, let me read into it. So Annette follows a musical story of Henry, a disgraced comedian, his wife, Anne, an opera singer, and of course Annette, the daughter of those two who carries the songs of her mother, however that may be. Through twists and turns, we watch as Henry slowly slips into madness and will do anything to protect his daughter. This includes killing his wife and possibly the real father of Annette. After deciding to do one last performance and disappear from the public eye, Annette shares what seems to be her first words outside of song and confesses that her father is a murderer. The movie ends with Henry being incarcerated and receiving a final visit from Annette. Through this visit, Annette sheds her puppet persona that was carried on throughout the movie and acts as a live person and says goodbye to her father from that point on. So Matt, what did you like about this movie?
I really did like things about this movie, even though when it all comes down to it, it was a very bizarre movie that I was not in love with. But I did think there was very likable things about it, and I think I literally only finished it 10 minutes ago, so I think as I think about this more over the next few days, I may enjoy it more. We will see. But I did really enjoy the music, and the music, I'm a little aware of the people who did the music. It's a band called Sparks, I believe.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Am I
A
wrong?
lot. I don't know.
Like now I'm like wanting to look it up because the second there was words left my mouth, I was like, maybe I'm wrong.
You suggested Sparks to me at the beginning of the year, and I gave them
did.
an hour of listening, and I was like, I can't take this anymore. I'm so tired of this. But also,
Yes.
like, Sparks is like a huge inspiration to so many like other big artists.
Mm-hmm.
A little wild to me, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did this music.
Well, and the thing that's most interesting to me about Sparks is just the fact that Edgar Wright did a documentary about them. They're not really. I didn't love the more music that I listened to. I didn't love it, and I probably this movie itself was probably the stuff I enjoyed the most because I did enjoy quite a bit of the music in this. It was fun. It had cool stuff. The very opening scene where they're all kind of walking, I liked that quite a bit. And that was an interesting scene. Just like to mention that, like, I'm not sure that the characters were supposed to be playing themselves at that point. Did you get that feeling? Like, Adam Driver, as he's walking towards his motorcycle, is handed a wig that is the longer hair that he's wearing. And I almost feel like that whole opening scene was not taking place in the fictional universe of that movie. It was like Marion Cotillard and Adam Driver as themselves getting ready to be the characters in this movie, which that was an interesting that. So the music was fun, and let's just meld that in together with my like of the very opening scene of the movie because it was a really weird, interesting scene that I enjoyed. I also enjoyed the sets, I guess, because this movie felt very cheap at times. Like you could just tell they were these like kind of like, but I almost think it was very intentional because it was a movie that was all kind of about the way that these people were performing in their lives and so it almost felt right to seem like they were on sets the whole time, like cheaper sets, I guess. I don't know. So like it made sense, and I thought it was cool, and I think it was very intentional that things didn't look that great. Like there was the scenes where they were on the boat and you could see through the windows and it just looked like a bad green screen of an ocean out the window, and like the weird things like that I just thought were intentional and kind of cool because they were intentional, I guess. Like that's the feeling that I got. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. But the big thing that I enjoyed that I kept getting like this vibe on was like, this is Leo Carras, I'm probably saying his name wrong, doing like his weird dark version of La La Land. Like that is, and I had my issues with La La Land. I love the guy who directed La La Land. I love his first movie, Whiplash. And so to see a movie that kind of almost seemed like it was poking a little bit of fun at La La Land, maybe? I don't know. I could be way off base there. But to see a movie that was doing that, I thought was really cool. Where it was like, oh, okay. Instead of being this musical that kind of looks at like Hollywood and LA as this like wonderful, amazing thing. Like that's why everyone always kind of joked about why La La Land won so many Academy Awards, was it was just kind of like all of Hollywood being like, oh, this is a movie about us and it's so wonderful and this is what our lives are like. I remember that's what I heard someone say, at least. So to see a movie that was a musical that looked at like Hollywood as this more just like, oh, look at all these people performing in their lives for everyone. Like that's what I feel the movie was trying to be, was this commentary on like Hollywood and celebrity and what these people are putting themselves through. And so to see a movie that kind of, to me, was the opposite of La La Land was really cool. But
yeah.
Anyway, what did you like about it, Austin?
Yeah, let's talk about my favorite part of the movie. Adam Driver's butt, which is right there in the open. I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna tell you, this is so weird. I would have imagined an actor as attractive as Adam Driver to have a butt that did not look like that. If that makes sense. Like his butt shot, I was like, huh, that is not a celebrity butt right there. That was definitely not. That's what I thought of when I saw his butt. But keep going, Austin.
Yeah, man. But outside of that, like, this movie was off the walls crazy, where like I thought I was picking up a rhythm of the movie where it's like, okay, yeah, they go, they perform, they come home, they have sex, they talk about things, they go, they perform, they have sex, they talk about things. Like I thought I got that. And then it was like, no, we're gonna go do something else here. And from like the baby being a puppet the entire time, well, Annette being a puppet, except for the final scenes, to just how things kind of escalate through. I didn't know what to expect for this movie. So that's kind of what did keep me intrigued to it and wanted to finish it, is like, well, what the hell could happen now? Like, this is all just bizarre. I do want to also comment on the comedy routine that Adam Driver did. It felt very Bo Burnham to me. Did you get that feeling at all?
Well, now that you say it, I think so, but also I felt like it was almost purposeful that it was not funny comedy. And it wasn't, I mean, not even funny in the way that Bo Burnham is funny. Like, it was, the whole joke or the whole point was like, here's this guy who's a comedian, but he's not actually funny, like, at all. I don't know. Like, it was interesting. I also want to point out the fact that when I first read about this movie and they said that Annette was a puppet, I literally imagined her as like a Muppet. Like, I was expecting full, soft, cushiony looking Muppet, and she did not look like that, which probably worked better than a Muppet would have, but also tiny bit sad that it wasn't a Muppet. So
yeah. So they kind of fooled me twice on this one, where it was like the baby came out and then they showed the baby and it was like a clown, and I was like, ooh, that's disturbing. And then like we go back into the delivery and it's like, okay, now we're gonna have like an actual baby delivery here. And then they do this like weird carousel handing the baby down, and it's like, what the fuck is that? That's not a baby. What is this? What is going on right now? And like they keep that going throughout the whole movie, where like they're just getting the puppet to do baby things. And I honestly want to give like super big praise to Adam Driver and I forgot her name, the other actress, for like holding it together.
Marion Cotillard.
Yeah, holding it together to act with like a puppet baby and act like it's an actual baby. Wow. I don't know.
So
it was wild.
let's get deep here.
Oh,
Why do you think it was a puppet?
Why do I think the baby was a puppet?
Yes.
So some of the thought process that I was having at the end of the movie was that this baby was pretty much just kind of like the lock and key for the marriage and the relationship and like their kind of whatever they had going on. So the baby really didn't have like any role of its own. It was being directed by others. And then at the end, when Annette like steps away from her father and that she's gonna do her own thing, make her own choices. Obviously, like, a baby's not gonna make their own choices, but like at that point, she steps away and now she is human, where she's doing her own thing. But like I didn't think too much into it. That's like a quick thought. What did you synopsize on that?
Kind of the same, yeah. Like I felt like it, like I said, I think it was a movie that was supposed to be a commentary on celebrities' lives and how they're all very performative, and kind of how this puppet, like they weren't having a child to have a child, they were having a child to be part of that act, and that's why she was a puppet, is she was there to kind of perform, to be controlled by them. That wasn't really a human being. And now that you're mentioning the ending, it's like that is that moment where she's like, I'm not here to perform for you, I'm out of here, and then she's a human. Like that's the thought that I had, but I think there could be a million bizarre reasons why they chose to go with a puppet. But
yeah, so like,
yeah.
You know what, like acting with a real baby sucks. Can we get a puppet? Like, is Pinocchio available? We need him.
Is his nose gonna grow? No? Okay.
Anyways, Matt, what did you not like about this movie?
It is just so weird. And we've watched some weird movies that we've talked about on this podcast, and I always kind of give that reason of just like, there's a certain amount of weird that I'm super on board with, and when you get into that valley of like, we're really, really weird and you're not even entirely sure what's going on, and it just kind of feels bizarre for the sake of being bizarre, that's when I kind of tune out. We're just like, I don't care anymore. So that was probably my biggest issue, was it just got a little too weird for its own good. And that's probably my biggest gripe. I mean, Adam Driver, Marion Cotillard. My favorite character was probably Simon Hedberg, the accompanist. Yeah. He, like, I remember watching it, I was like, I want to watch an entire movie about that character. Like, I was definitely more interested in him than I was some of the other characters. And I wondered too, because we were watching Adam Driver, whose comedy was not good. I wonder if I was a little more ingrained in the world of opera, that I was supposed to know that Marion Cotillard wasn't in very good operas either, but I don't know, because opera is a very arbitrary thing that exists like out in space over here, and I don't understand what would make it good or not. So I wondered if they were getting at that as well. But that's a little afterthought there. But I mean, that really, my biggest complaint was that it was just really, really, really weird. What did you not like about it? Like, I wish I could say more, but it was just weird.
Yeah, I'm fine with it being weird if we're getting some like clear character development throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly speaking to like Adam Driver's character. So like we get introduced to like a very frantic man who has this like very odd comedy style to himself. He's just barely in love, and like from like Adam Driver at the beginning to like Adam Driver before he's like an old man, it really feels like the same person through and through, to the point where like he's manic, he's just kind of like, he's trying to be charming, trying to do all these things, and like when he gets drunk he kills people. Like that was constant throughout the entire movie. Like he didn't even learn from his wife's death that's like, you know what, like I probably shouldn't kill the people around me, and then he just goes and kills the whatever his name is.
Simon Hedberg, the accompanist. I can't remember what his name was.
Yeah.
Do you think that was actually? Do you think Annette was his biological daughter or not?
I mean, they kind of hint at it towards the end, where like she's making the jokes, and he's like, "Well, like you are my daughter." So like maybe in that sense, but then I also think back to the kind of like the nightmare that he had about the delivery, where the baby came out and it was a clown. I think that like that was him thinking like, oh, like this is what my kid will be, but then when we get like a puppet instead, it's hard to say. But whether it is or it isn't, I don't think it changes the movie all that much. It's really it's just wild.
Yeah.
Actually, I do think it is his daughter, because I don't think Anne would haunt him in the afterlife if it wasn't his daughter. Because I think if it wasn't his daughter, and if she was to be with if Annette was to be with like her actual father, I think she would try to do her best to like preserve that and make that a thing. Instead, it's just like she just takes it out on Henry the entire time. But I don't know. This movie has like a lot of questions and like not a whole lot of answers, but the development is what was lacking for me in specific situations. I don't feel like any character really grew. The puppet physically grew, but like even then, it didn't actually like grow. So I felt like I got 2 hours and 20 minutes of just like stagnant characters, and that's what really turned me away. If there was growth, I think that I would have been more in tune with this movie. But anyways,
yeah.
What do you want to watch next week, Matt?
The one that I saw on Amazon Prime that it came out a little while ago, but I've wanted to watch it, is the movie that I just forgot the title of. 1 second. It is called You Were Never Really Here, starring Joaquin Phoenix, which is just another movie in a string of long, weird roles for him, playing weird people. So I'm excited to watch it. Do you want to watch that one?
Yeah, let's totally do it. I've heard good things about it. To be honest, anything we watch after this movie is probably going to be a better movie. And I hate to like really turn it down because it was really ambitious, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. This is one of those movies that as I'm watching it, because Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard are pretty big stars. Like they have A-list power. And I was watching it and I just thought, how did anyone convince them to be in this? It's such a weird movie and such an ambitious movie. The fact that those two people would show up and be in that movie was a little shocking to me.
Do you want to know like what weird thought I had when watching the movie?
That Adam Driver's an absolute snack? We must have had different thoughts then. Sorry.
So, as I was watching the movie, I was like, this makes me think that this isn't actually Adam Driver in this movie. This is Adam Driver's character from A Marriage Story in this play. And this is a movie that he makes. And it's just wild and all over the place.
He makes movies like this. He makes movies about struggling marriages. When I was looking for our movie next week, I came across a movie on Amazon called Patterson, where he plays a dude married to a chick, and they're very, very different, and it doesn't seem like it's gonna go well for them. And I was just like, it's kind of like somebody was talking the other day about how all of Taika Waititi's movies kind of have something. It's about these father-son relationships, and a lot of people are in very similar movies or direct very similar types of movies. And maybe Adam Driver's just the type who he's like, struggling marriage, I'm in. Sign me up. I will do it. Like I want to watch Patterson now, so I can kind of be like, oh yeah, this really is kind of the type of movie he likes to do. So,
makes sense.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
I'll see you at work. I'll see you next week when we record. LA. Have fun. Bye.